Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be here today with Mike to have a chat about his experiences. So, first question, Mike. We recognise that each individual has their own diagnosis experience. Please, could you tell us about your experience of diagnosis and how this made you feel?
Yep. Hi, Tom. No probs. So as of last year, I got to 35 and was diagnosed as autistic. It kind of felt like my diagnosis journey was pretty much my whole life, but my official diagnosis journey was a few years. Pre-diagnosis, I'd always felt different, especially to the people around me, which is quite scary and confusing. It basically made me feel like I was in survival mode for a good 35 years. What really annoyed me though, and again, this is pre-diagnosis, is that I'd been having the same conversations with people and medical professionals since I was a young kid. When I finally did get on the diagnosis journey, I was told just because of the national waiting times that it could be 4, 5+ years, especially with COVID on top of that as well. And this was just for one diagnosis, then answers, and also support as well, which I desperately needed at the time. That timeline didn't work with me at all, just from a health point of view. I wasn't going to get through that many years, I don't think. So I looked privately, which I was quoted some disgusting figures of the cost of what it would take just to get the diagnosis journey started. I did finally come up on a company called Autonomy Plus. They're supported by the NHS and a fantastic woman called Sarah Heath, and they took me through my diagnosis journey, which took it down from 4 or 5 years to 10 days, going through the same process, which was amazing for my health. After that, I had a couple of incidents with my GP, which meant I had to change surgery, with even one of them trying to talk to me about curing with medication, which one of the main reasons I then changed surgery. I was very fortunate though. I was connected with IAPT at the time, and I got a leaflet from them from a charity called Enfold and a fantastic woman called Diane Johnson, who set up this charity and has been running support for the last couple of years and supported me through my post-diagnosis journey. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. It's reframed my whole life, to be honest, the support that I've got. And it feels like I'm not surviving anymore. It feels like I'm actually starting to live.
That's fantastic to hear. And in previous roles, you supported a range of individuals. And what adaptations or adjustments did you make to allow them to be successful in the workplace? And what was the impact of those changes?
So I've had a very professional experience. I've been really fortunate to work with a lot of different people throughout my careers. However, so because of how I've generally been treated, which is quite negatively at work, I now always try and create an environment and a culture that allows the other people I work with to be open and honest. This isn't as easy as it sounds. Trust me, I've been trying a long time, but when it works, it is incredibly positive for all involved. Over the years, I've found that if my team or my work colleagues, if they're at work and they feel comfortable and respected, and there is a chance for them to communicate completely openly, it doesn't really matter then. Abilities and disabilities don't come into it. That's with that open communication, that's when people really discuss and you can find out what they need and require from adaptations in their day to make their role more successful for them, and so they're happier at work. So over the years, I've put in numerous different adaptations, adjustments, reasonable adjustments. So from steps of service and hospitality to uniform, ways of communicating, lighting, hours worked. The list is fairly large, but there's one overwhelming and one kind of main thing that comes from these adaptations is it means the individual that has them in place, it just means that they can move positively in their position forward, but it means they become happier and more successful.
Absolutely, and a fantastic kind of examples there of the kind of very small environmental change that could be made. So if you could give a message to employers about best supporting individuals, what would that specific message be? You've touched on it a little bit there, but what message would you really like to get across to employers?
So I just want to say that these are kind of my personal opinions from what I've experienced, but also things that I'm working on as well, because I think that I can get better and other people can get better with these with practice. So I've got a little list. Actively promote open conversation as work culture. Treat each one of your staff and your peers with a bespoke attitude. Yes, they're all going to be human, but not one of them is anything like you. We all have different needs to get by in our day, month, or life. Do not assume anything. Don't expect someone to be able to do or know anything just because you know how to do it or you think it's common sense. Common sense is only common once people know about it. Be an active listener. And then with that, be an active and positive doer. Try and create an environment at work that is open to challenging ideas. Try to celebrate it for what it is as well, like functional problem solving. It's never a personal attack or criticism of the work or process, merely someone seeing a problem and wanting to adapt it so it could be better for everyone involved. I've been thinking about this, and awareness of this idea might help. Just because it is the road most traveled does not mean it is the most accurate or efficient or correct or productive or inclusive or effective. I could definitely go on that list. Facilitate an environment so that singing off the same hymn sheet becomes, again, your work culture. Do not diminish or dismiss someone's strengths or weaknesses because they are different to yours. Generalizing working, training, development, and progression standards holds everybody back. Both neurodiverse and neurotypical people have differing styles of working and learning. Why doesn't work life replicate this? Provide a sense of worth and job satisfaction for your employees. And with all of these points, build a positive, inclusive, and collaborative work culture.
Absolutely fantastic, and so many practical, again, small, just changes and ways of thinking and ways of doing things in business that can make a real life-changing difference. And just a final question for you. Have you had any negative experiences or challenges before, during, or after your diagnosis that you'd be happy to share with people?
Yeah. So unfortunately, in pretty much every job, I've been kind of bullied or picked on to some extent. And unfortunately, almost all of the help or support I've asked for in the past has either been ignored or used against me in some way by my peers. I've had to deal with constructive dismissal, job refusal, and I've been looked over for promotion because of my perceived differences and health issues. Incredibly, I've even had some of my employers that have always been happy to point these out over the years. And it's something that I now realize, looking back, it'd be classed as direct discrimination if I'd had a diagnosis by then. My experiences in work have had a massive psychological effect on me. And it's one of the many barriers that I still struggle with to me being currently unemployed at the minute. Pre-diagnosis, I was unemployed. I've not worked in the last just over 2 years now, and that is because of mental and physical health issues. But being unemployed does bring about its own mental and physical health issues too. There's also the financial stress of that. I've also had to deal and survive dealing with the DWP, which was not fun, and again, a big blow to my health. But to finish on a positive note, I've been receiving some incredible support, like I said, from Autonomy Plus, Sarah Heath, Diane Johnson, and Mfold, and others as well. And I'm continuing to receive that support as well. And it's completely changing my whole idea of employment for me. It shifted completely. And it feels like for the first time in my life, I'm actually figuring out what I want to do for me, which is really empowering.
Absolutely, Mike. And thank you so much for sharing your experiences. It's been great to hear from you, and I look forward to speaking more in the future. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, cheers, Tom. Pleasure.
Thank you.